Decoding the last quarter of the moon, the vanishing world of the Ewenki people. On the right bank of the Argun River, it's not just water that flows, it's the memory and soul of a people. This river has seen the Ewenki tribe rise and fade. They hunted and herded in this boundless forest sea, partners to reindeer, swaying with the wind and snow. The story comes to us through the voice of a 19-year-old Ewenki woman. Her words drifted from the riverside, low and distant, telling how her people clung to life on this land. She shares how they slowly slipped away under the crushing of modern ways. This is a tale of survival, belief, and goodbye. It's a mournful tune for the Ewenki, and a heavy question about what it means to be human. 1. A home by the river and the faces of kin. The Argun River is the Ewenki's mother. It rises deep in the greater Khingan Range, winding far, feeding the woods and wildlife along its shores. In the old woman's childhood, the river gleamed like glass. Along its banks stood chum's cone-shaped tents of birch barks and hides, built by her tribe. At dawn, smoke roses from the chum tops. Kids raced after reindeer through the trees, while hunters trudged home with rifles, lugging roe deer and wild boars. Life then was simple and true. The tribe worshipped nature's spirits, holding mountain and fire gods in reverence. Before every hunt, they'd gather for rituals, singing prayers for safety. Those songs rolled deep and smooth, cutting through the forest wind to touch the clouds above. Her husband, Looney, shines brightest in her memory. He was a quiet hunter, eyes sharp as a hawk's, lean but tough as pine. One winter hunt, he went alone into the woods, tracking a wounded bear. A blizzard swallowed him for 3 days, and the tribe feared he was gone for good. But on the 4th morning, he hauled the bear's body back, face purple with frost, a small smile breaking through. That moment brought her a peace she'd never felt before. She says Looney was like the Argun River, silent but strong, always there to lift the sky in dark times. Looney had a ritual. Each full moon, he'd sit by the river, polishing his rifle with deerskin, humming a nameless tune. When she asked about the song, he'd said it was his father's, a way to call the mountain gods. Later, she saw it was his quiet love for this land, a prayer without words. Then there's Nihao, the shaman. She was the tribe's soul, wrapped in deerskin, gripping a drum, speaking with spirits. Her face was thin, eyes deep set, but they danced like flames. When the plague struck, the kids' faces burned red with fever. Nihao danced by the fire, her drums echoing through the night, saying the mountain god was mad and needed reindeer blood to settle. She cut a reindeer's throat herself, blood spilling bright and harsh on the snow. The ritual worked, the sickness lifted, and the tribe saw her as holy. But the old woman recalls Nihao's private whisper, the spirits were growing distant. She once took her to a burnt-out stretch of forest, where new sprouts pushed past charred stumps. Nihao said life and death are bound together, like the Argun River flowing out and back. The old woman didn't understand then, but later, she felt Nihao's loneliness. On a cold night, Nihao sat by the fire, tapping her drums lightly, eyes lost, searching for something unseen. Her son, Daxi, was part of that river home too. He carried Looney's courage but added a restless spark. His hair was thick and black, his smile a burst of white like sunlight through the trees. Young, he'd stand by the river, skipping stones, each tossing rippling out 7 or 8 rings. Elders called him a gifted hunter, but she knew his heart wouldn't stay still. Daxi often said the forest was too vast, the prey too few. He wanted to glimpse the Han world across the water. She urged him to stay, but he'd just smile and keep quiet. Once, he brought back a hare, proud, saying his new trap beat his father's gun. Looney nodded silently, but she saw worry in his gaze. Back then, Daxi's eyes glowed with dreams. No one thought he'd be the tribe's first fracture. There's also I, her little niece. She was a soft-spoken girl who'd sat outside the chum, drawing reindeer in the dirt with a stick. Her mother passed early, her father a drunken hunter seldom home. I stuck close to the old woman like a shadow, tugging her sleeves with odd questions. Why does the wind talk? Does the river cry? She'd answered with a smile, though her heart ached inside. She knew I's childhood would fade fast, the forest days were dwindling. These faces shaped her home. She recalls them in a hush, as if afraid to stir the spirits long gone. The Argun River was more than water, it was their life's root. It fed their bellies, fueled their faith, held their joys and sorrows. When she shuts her eyes, she can still smell the birch bark, hear the kids' laughter. But she knows those days won't return. 2. Reindeer trails and nature's whispers. In the Ewenki world, reindeers are vital companions. They're forest spirits, stepping lights, antlers frosted, eyes warmed with a natural softness. The old woman says they weren't livestock to the tribe, they were family. Each spring, the reindeers roamed to moss-rich slopes, and the tribe trailed them to new camps. Coming falling, their antlers grew bold, and hunters trimmed the velvet to trade for Hans's salt and iron. One autumn, Looney brought back a big haul of velvet, swapping it for a sharp dagger carved with his name for Daxi. She saw that blade as a light piercing the forest gloom. She held it, imagining Daxi hunting with it as a man, but he later traded it to a Hans for a bottle of liquor. One year, Looney came home with a wounded fawn. Its leg was broken by a wolf, eyes full of fear. She tended it with herbs, watching over it day and night till it stood again. She named it Ma, meaning dawn. Uma grew into the tribe's gentlest reindeer, nuzzling her hands. When she was worn out, she leaned on Ma, its breath a strange, soothing calm. The kids adored Uma too. I wove a flower crown for its antlers, her laughing like spring blossoms. But Han traders came, bartering wine and cloth for Uma. She stood by the river, watching it lead away, tears blurring her view. She says that's when she first felt the forest wasn't fully theirs anymore. That night, she dreamed Uma dashed through the woods, antlers aglow with stars, but she couldn't catch it. Waking, her hands clutched nothing. Nature's whispers were shifting too. She remembers winters from her youth, long and biting, snow knee-deep, yet game was plenty. The tribe hunted snowfields, kids piling snow into chum shapes. One winter night, Looney took her to see the frozen river, a giant mirror under moonlight, reflecting them both. She asked if the river slept, and he chuckled, saying it never did, it waited for spring. But winters shrank over time, snow thinned, and forest beasts grew rare. One spring, the river flooded, tearing away trees near camp. Young tribe folks muttered the mountain gods had abandoned them. Nehao said no, the spirits hadn't left, the people had strayed. She showed her a pine hit by lightning, trunk black, roots still gripping the earth. Nehao said a tree might die, but its roots endure, like the tribe home could change, but the soul stayed. She had her touch on those roots, their roughness a silent vow. Daxi tried to shift with nature. He learned Han fishing, netting river fishing to ease hunting's burden. That summer, he hauled back fishing, grinning, saying it beat hunting hands down. He waved his net by the river like a proud warrior. She tasted the fish, its muddy sting turning her off. She told him Ewenkis are hunters, not fishermen. Daxi went quiet, a flicker of hurt in his eyes, soon replaced by defiance. She knew then his heart had crossed the river. Later, he secretly studied Han traps, saying they'd catch more and keep hunger at bay. Watching him hustle, she felt hollow. She knew Daxi didn't want prey, he wanted a new horizon. I felt nature's changing too. She asked why tree birds were fewer, why the wind blew so fierce. Stumped, the old woman took her to see river moss. She said it's what reindeer love, while it's here, they'll stay. I knelt, touching the sparse moss, whispering, what if they don't come back someday? The old woman froze, struck by the child's quiet, grown-up worry. Reindeer tracks faded, the forest wind sharpened. She sensed nature warning them. This land was turning, and Ewenki life would turn too. By the river, she gazed at the water's mirror, seeing faces until the wind scattered them. She murmured, Argun River, how long can you shield us? 3. Cracks in the storm and outsider shadows. The stillness of the Argun's right bank broke under foreign shadows. In the late Qing, Russian boots marched in, bringing guns and fear. One frigid winter, she recalls hunters returning not with games, but soaked in blood. They said villages across the river-burned haunts clashed with Russians, and the Ewenki, caught between, suffered. A hunter, Batu, took a stray bullet, a sturdy man who bragged he could pierce a boar's skull with one arrow. That day, he fell in the snow, blood staining it red, clutching her hands, begging her to tell his wife he didn't die fleeing. She nodded through tears, but never saw his wife again. Chaos took her and their children, lost forever. Looney turned silent, sitting by the fire each night, wiping his rifle like it was all he could guard. He stopped singing, and when she asked why, he said, the forest isn't safe anymore. Outside the chum, she watched flames flicker across the river, fear creeping in for the first time. Russia's invasion swept the Argun's banks like a gale. That winter, soldiers stormed camps in heavy coats, rifles up, demanding their haul. One-eyed Looney's fresh bear pelt, barking in broken Chinese, it was theirs. Looney gripped his knife, eyes cold, but she held him back, whispering, don't let them take your life too. His hand shook, then let go. After they took the pelt, Looney stood sleepless by the river, back to her, a quiet ridge. Next day, he led hunters deeper in, returning with 3 roe deer. He said the tribe couldn't starve, but she knew his heart had cracked. A wider split came in the Republic years. Han traders poured in, carts piled with cloth, liquor, and opium. One fall, they stopped by the river, led by a lanky man with a smile that didn't warm his icy eyes. He offered opium to the young to try. Daxi took it first, inhaled, his face paled, eyes flared. He said it wiped out cold and hunger. She trembled with anger, snatching it and tossing it into the fire, but Daxi laughed, saying she didn't get it. That night, he slipped out, returning drunk, coins in hand. He said the Hans paid him to lead them to gold mines. She asked, have you forgotten the forest? He muttered, the forest has no future for us. The river's song twisted then. Watching Daxi stumble, she saw the stone skipper was gone. Han Wei sank deeper. One spring, a trader brought a radio, its scratchy voice a marvel. Kids crowded round, hearing its tunes, Daxi too, eyes alight with wonder. The trader said it was a city thing, carrying the world's news. Daxi sat quiet for a long stretch after. Days later, he traded hides for it, fiddling in the chum till it died. She asked why he wanted that useless box. He said, I want to know what's over there. She felt his heart had flown past the Argun. The Japanese came and went, leaving wreckage. In the late Republic, they seized parts of the Greater Kingdom, building wooden forts by the river, felling ancient trees. Hunters were forced to hunt for them, trading meat for scraps. Looney refused, saying Ewenki guns weren't for outsiders. Daxi went, saying it kept the tribe from starving. He brought back rice, but its white grains felt colder than snow to her. One day, Japanese soldiers grabbed a hunter, claiming theft. He never returned. Rumors said he was buried alive by the river. She stood there, staring at the fort, a chill cutting deep. After liberation, government men arrived, urging the tribe downhill. On a clear fall day, an official stood outside the chum with a relocation plan paper. He said the forest was unsafe. They'd moved the Ewenki to villages with houses and fields. In a gray uniform, his tone was calm but firm. Young tribe members cheered for lights and schools. But the elders stayed silent, and Nihao refused, saying, leave the forest, and we're not Ewenki anymore. She stood by the river, wind tangling her white hair, her voice lost in the noise. Watching the excited youths, she felt the Arguns flow slow. In the storm, the tribe split. Fewer stayed, while those leaving took reindeer and hope. By the river, she gazed at the new village across, a deep helplessness settling in. She says the blizzard scattered her people like it scattered the river's mist. She tried to stop Daxi, but he walked off without looking back, saying, "Times have changed, the forest can't hold us." Then, she felt the Argun's shadow blur. 4. Faith's embers and the last shaman. Faith was the Ewenki's root. She recalls Nihao teaching her to hear the wind, to read the god's will in fire's dance. For big moments, the tribe circled the fire, listening to the shaman's old songs. Those chants, low and long, flowed like the Argun into every heart. One midsummer, Nihao led a grand ritual, clad in deerskin, feathers in her hair, her drums booming. She said it thanked the mountain gods for a rich harvest. The fire blazed, sparks soaring skyward, kids dancing round, elders praying soft. Then, she felt the tribe and spirits were one. Nihao's rituals were like journeys. She'd light birch twigs, smoke filling the camp, then draw strange symbols in deer blood. She said they were the spirits' words, known only to shamans. One lean winter, game was scarce, the tribe thin with hunger. Nihao danced all night, her steps deep in snow, drumbeats like a heartbeat. Next day, a hunter brought back a boar, and the tribe cheered that the mountain god had heard. But Nihao collapsed by the fire, whispering to her that the spirits were harder to call. Her words pierced like a thorn. As the outside pressed in, Faith's flame dimmed. Daxi questioned Nihao, asking why the gods didn't bring more games if they were real. She didn't answer, just told him to watch the river wind. That night, he returned puzzled, saying the wind said nothing. Seeing his stubborn back, she felt a quiet unease. Later, Han liquor and opium hooked the young, who skipped rituals and mocked Nihao's drumming. One drunken youth threw her drum in the river, calling it a trick. Nihao fished it out silently, wiping it dry, but her eyes went hollow. The day Nihao died, a snowstorm howled. She sat outside the chum, her drumming fading till it stopped. In her worn deerskin robe, wrinkles deep, her drumstick slipped into the snow. Kneeling beside her, the old woman felt a void she'd never known. Nihao's last words were, "The gods are gone, and so are we." Her death marked the shaman era's end. Without her, the tribe was a tree without a soul, felled by a breeze. The old woman held Nihao's body, crying like a child. She says Nihao took their roots with her. She tried to keep faith alive. She sang Nihao's songs by the fire, but the young didn't get it, calling them old junk. She searched the woods for spirit signs, finding only cut stumps. Once, she held a ritual alone, her shaky hands striking the drum, its sound a faint sigh. She felt Faith's remembered dying, beyond her reach to save. By the river, she stared at the water, straining to hear the wind, but it was just empty silence. The last shaman there was her granddaughter, Maria. She'd been a lively kid, loving her stories. Her eyes sparkled like stars, her laugh like a spring breeze. One summer, tagging along to pick herbs, she asked why the mountain god went quiet. The old woman said the spirits were waiting. But downhill, Maria changed. She learned Chinese, wore Han clothes, hair cut short. She said school taught science, truer than spirits. She showed her a book, pointing to words she called the world's truth. Watching her, the old woman's heart tangled. She knew Maria wasn't betraying, just carried by time. She tried teaching her the drums, but Maria's hands were stiff, saying, "Grandma, I can't make it sing." Then, she knew Faith's fire was out. Faith's remembers drifted in the wind. She says the Argun flows on, but not with Ewenki souls. By the river, she saw Nihao in the ripples till the wind blew her away. 5. Farewell and the river's quiet. Her life neared its close. She sat by the river, watching the Argun's flow, reliving her days. She recalled Luni's smile, Nihao's drum, Uma's gaze, and her people's backs as they left. She says the Ewenkis were like river fish, swimming till they vanished. Closing her eyes, she heard childhood songs, but opening them, only wound hummed. Those who moved downhill forgot the forest. They built brick homes in villages, grew crops, their kids strangers to reindeer. Daxi rose as a village figure, in Han robes, writing well, telling all the moves was their way out. But each visit, she saw something missing in his eyes. He showed her a new house, built with gold mining cash. She touched its cold brick, feeling its foreign next to the chum. She asked if he remembered Uma. He paused, then mumbled, long forgotten. She felt he'd lost not just the reindeer, but his roots. The reindeer shrank, the last herd caged in a zoo for gawkers. She visited once, standing by the bars, their dull eyes chilling her. She spotted one with a scarred antler, Uma's child. She reached out, but the iron stopped her. She says that was the last time she heard reindeer breath. Home after, she fell ill, fever dreams of riding reindeer fading to an empty room. The river kept flowing, but it hushed. She felt the Argun saying goodbye too. Her trembling hands touched the bank's soil, like feeling her people's faces. She says the river's here, but home's gone. She tried holding on, but the storm took it all. Sitting there, watching the sun sink into the water, she felt a deep, new tiredness. At the novel's end, she closed her eyes. She dreamed of childhood chums by the river, the tribe singing round the fire. Luni sat beside her. Nihao drummed, I drew reindeer, Daxi skipped stones. A long-lost calm washed over her. She says the Argun's right bank is their root even if they're gone, it holds. She smiled in that dream, her last. 6. From Riverside to Heart's Questions. The story of the Argun's right bank isn't just the Ewenkis, it's for all facing change. It asks us, when home and faith fade, what's left? Her tale's a painting reindeer tracks, howling winds, tears. It bleaches in modernity's tide, but its marks won't wash away. It's a mirror, showing our past and now. The Ewenki's end was history's path. Their ways couldn't keep pace with industry, their beliefs no match for science. But behind that fate lies struggle and grit. Luni guarded home with his life, Nihao called spirits with her drums, Daxi sought a way with rebellion, she held the past in memory. They weren't losers, just time's witnesses. Their story shows history's wheel rolls on, leaving some, taking others. The Argun still flows, watching a tribe's rise and fall, humanity's tangled with nature. It reminds us of progress costs, often in silence. Luni's rifle rusted, Nihao's drum broke, Daxi's radio hushed, but their echoes lingered by the river. Her tale stops us to hear voices the wind steals, see faces time buries. It asks, when all shifts, what will you keep? This land's change isn't just one tribe's lament, it's our echo. We've all lived by rivers, fought for homes, said goodbyes. The Ewenki's forest turned to villages, their reindeer to zoo shadows, but their story flows into us like water. It makes us think, modernity lights the way, but dims our warmth. We gain concrete homes, lose nature's voice, grasp science, forget faith's heat. 7. Life's river and our reflections. Standing by the Argun's right bank, we see ourselves. The Ewenki's fate is theirs alone, yet it's ours too. We've all rooted by some river, battled for our place, parted ways. Modernity hands us plenty, but strips away more. Her sigh crosses time, landing in every heart. She says the Argun's still here, but it's not ours anymore. Her words rippled through us like a stone in calm water. Life's river never pauses. It runs through woods, villages, our yesterdays and todays. The Ewenki teaches us living's more than breathing, it's holding on. Holding the people who walked with us, the lands that shaped us, the beliefs that named us. Looney's rifle was his creed, Nihao's drummed her soul, Oma's eyes her comfort. They scattered in the storm, but their traces marked the bank. The Argun quieted, but its murmuring lingers. It asks, when all changes, what will you save? Her answer was memories, guarding those faces and sounds for 90 years. What's ours? Maybe we're hunting our own Argun River. It might not have water, but it has our roots. It could be a childhood yard, a hometown field, a person in our mind. We tend it like she tended hers, keeping days that won't come back. This land's silence warns us. Nature doesn't speak, but it shows life's river flows on. We can't stop it, but we can choose what stays by its edge. The Ewenki left songs, reindeer, chums lost to time, yet timeless. And us? When our river stills, what will we leave? The Argun flows on, through past and future. It sees the Ewenki's farewell, and it sees our shadows. In its hush, it says life's a journey starting to finish. But along the way, we can keep what matters. Her story tells us memory's life's root, then when the storm takes all, it endures.